Hello and welcome to this video today, which is going to be a review of KPI Online so far, and we're going to take a look at several things today. First of all, we're going to have a quick overview of some of those slides that you saw back in December, and we're going to basically have a refresh on some of the key things about KPI Online. So I'd ask you to either watch these slides or bring out the PowerPoint that you'll remember, which is this particular one that we used in December. And then we're going to have an overview of the new KPI Online layout. And finally, we're going to look at a new report that we've added. It's called the Interactive Job Analysis Report. And this report has got several key functions and crucially some key benefits to you and the body shop. Okay, without any further ado, and if you recall, we started to look at what key performance indicators were, and the analogy I gave you was that indicators define a set of values used to be able to measure against. These are raw sets of values or data which are fed into systems in charge of summarizing the information, which is generally known as indicators. So that's where we get the term KPIs or key performance indicators. In this particular case, the type of KPIs we're going to be looking at are business intelligence and business performance KPIs, specifically related to paint and materials used within a workshop environment. We're going to be looking at volumes and values, and obviously that coincides with job numbers and people. Okay, so first of all, body shop. We need to be able to understand that body shops need to use KPIs to justify profitability or to understand where the losses are. And the key one is paint and materials gross profit. And I showed you how to be able to calculate that, and we're going to have a quick review of it. The second KPI is productivity, and the third one is utilization. We did also talk about a fourth one, which was cost of paint per sold hour. And this is probably the real latest shiny new thing, but actually it is a really good KPI, and if you get to use this one, it's a great way of being able to very quickly analyze how well the body shop is performing. Okay, so the effects the following have on a body shop. Well, fluctuating paint spend. And I'm going to run through these. I want you to think about them. We're not going to break them down into too much detail, but fluctuating paint spend should ring alarm bells. Erratic paint usage, of course. Excess time to process work. In other words, jobs might be done twice, even 3 or 4 times. Not enough time to complete work in the allowed time, therefore affecting productivity and utilization. Poor technical skills, which would affect all the above. Lack of management skills, in other words, spotting the problems in the first place, and more importantly, knowing how to address them quickly. Poor quality controls within the mixing room and the workshop. So, KPIs which we can improve or have an effect on and immediately be able to get involved in from a point of view of either growing business or ring fencing business. Number 1, paint and materials gross profit. Number 2, productivity, which is output. Number 3, utilization of time or equipment, or both. And overall business efficiency. Okay, so I'm not going to drill into these numbers particularly, but I want you to think about these, because there's some really important points behind these KPIs, and particularly with paint materials gross profit. I showed you how to calculate this back in December, and we appreciated the point that number 1, if it's a competitive body shop that you're trying to win business with, using this KPI you can quickly determine what their profitability is and where you can help them. And also it's important that from an existing body shop point of view, just throwing more discount at the paint purchase price will prove that actually more discount does not really give them a great deal more profitability. There are far more better ways in which you can affect their profitability if they were to engage with you with Profit Manager Pro and KPI Online. Productivity is also very important. I do apologise for my email dinging in the background there. Productivity is also very important. This is the output. It's the relationship between output and input. And again, we're not going to break down the actual formula again, but as you can see, it's there. And if you run through those numbers, you'll begin to appreciate that if you can get engaged with a body shop and show them how they can be more efficient with their time and increase their output, they're going to sell more hours, more profitable hours, and you're going to help them really become a more important business to themselves and to the industry, and most important as a customer to yourself. Utilization, well again, this is the relationship between actual and reality. It's important to be able to understand this one, not just from a people point of view, but also from equipment. Because as we discussed in those group breakout sessions, when we looked at some of the problems the body shop were having, is that they simply weren't utilizing the equipment. They had people very busy, but they had equipment standing around not being used. And in order to speed up the whole pipeline, everything has got to move together. So the people and the equipment. Okay, so improving KPIs on the shop floor. Let's take a look at the three key areas: mixing room, workshop floor, and parts or ordering. These are areas that you can influence and really get involved in straight away. The mixing room with Profit Manager Pro. What key steps need to be taken immediately? And this is important, not just really from calculating and improving KPIs, but obviously your flagship software, which is Profit Manager Pro, it's important that these steps are taken in order to make that product work perfectly well. Number one, remove mixing sticks. It's important that we break that habit, and as hard as they push back on it, once you break the habit, you really have removed a massive roadblock. Number two, ensuring the painters have their own login ID. In other words, they're not sharing each other's ID, and the important step for this to recognise is that when they have their own ID, you're able to analyse accurately the data that's going into Profit Manager Pro that will be captured by KPI Online. Using their own login at all times. In other words, it's defaulted setup that they must put in a login, and adding a job number for each and every job. And this is really important as well, because when we start to analyse, some of the efficiency factors, we need to be able to see it by job number. Scale calibration needs to be checked at least once every 6 months. So, mixing room, using correct product ratios with Profit Manager Pro. No gradient mixing cups. Painters or the owner need to mix everything over the scale. Now you need to be the mentor for them, and you need to explain why this is important. And ensure that version 14 is online and up to date. Version 14 updates more successfully using the internet, and therefore if you want to have this running at its best, and indeed KPI Online working, you need to have the internet connected there. So parts department. How can we improve parts department for paint? Well, we can install the workstation module of Profit Manager Pro, set up user and access rights specifically for them, enable stock management and the price book. And when we enable the price book, you can either set the paint prices specifically to a set trade price that might be the distributor's trade price, or indeed you can set it to the body shop cost price. Ensure stock control ordering is working, therefore orders can be generated on the system. And train on the stock ordering process. Once that's done, it should remain accurate. There are times when it needs to be recalibrated, but it should remain accurate. Create a KPI Online account for the parts team, and Glasurit stock range. Ensure all the core products are in stock and available. Finally, the workshop. How can we influence KPIs in the workshop? Well, we need to carry out a workflow assessment. And when we do the workflow assessment, we need to be looking at, not just the equipment, but the way the people operate, how they, for example, load the workshop. Are they looking at loading the workshop on Friday so that there's work ready to hit the ground on Monday morning, for example? We need to calibrate equipment. we need to make sure that all the areas that we can affect are well calibrated, including oven temperature testing. It stands to reason that if the oven isn't baking off at the right temperatures, we're going to have cold spots, hot spots, and that, as you know, that will cause all kinds of problems. We need to check the gun setups, specifically for 90 line. And we need to look at, as I said earlier, how the workshop gets loaded. Where are the bottlenecks? It stands to reason if you've got a car sitting on a jig for 3 days, not moved, that's A, stopping something else getting on there, and B, there might be a problem with the way in which they're ordering parts process. What equipment is overworked? And what equipment is underworked? This goes back to carrying out a utilization analysis. So what is KPI Online? Well, KPI Online is a web tool which you have access to, and it allows you to run reports which will pull data from your customers' scale systems that use Profit Manager Pro. It's fully secured, as we've said before. It cannot be hacked, and well, as I've said, it's 128-bit encrypted, so that's a pretty powerful encryption in place that simply cannot be opened up. The only people that would have access to the data would be yourself and the body shop. You can sit on the beach as such, taking it to the extreme, when you've got an internet connection, and you can therefore get real-time reports on your customers. The really important thing here is that, tongue-in-cheek about being on the beach, but you should now be able to set yourself up so that your customers have KPI Online installed, and rather than you or the distributor run around trying to get information in order to improve your level of service, you can simply use KPI Online from a central location where you do have internet, compile your reports, and then be able to start this process. And before we start the process here, we've got a simple schematic which shows you again what KPI looks like. We have over here the scale PC with the software installed on the PC, and that's uploaded every time there's a mix or some activity carried out via the internet. It's stored on this server here, and then this database can query it. And then from PCs anywhere, you'll be able to, with an internet connection, run those reports. So once we've been able to collect that data, we're then able to analyze this information, and as I've said just now, you can analyze that information from any location where you've got an internet connection. Of course, the key step then is to be able to interpret that data, give it some meaningful information, understand what's happening, and be able to interpret it into a report and present it. Now, this is a very powerful step, and the better that you get at this three-step sequence, the more success you're going to have with KPI Online. And I can't stress enough, it's so important that you just start doing it. Just start doing it, get better at it. Identify the reports that really matter to the body shop, to your specific customers. For example, you might have a group body shop, and showing them the job cost summary report, which we'll look at later, just showing them the profitability on average on each job by each body shop. That's a powerful report. The group body shop manager will love you for that report. He can see at a snapshot which body shops are making more money per job than the other, and he can address the poor ones and leave the good ones alone. Simple. So a closer look at KPI Online then. Here's some of the reports. The mixer analysis report is a very popular one, this one. You can see that you've got a breakdown of the color-coded systems at the top, primer, color, clear coat. And this particular report is showing you the average mixer volume. There's the volume quantity down here. These are the initials of the painters, and as you can see, a breakdown of how well they're performing. Very, very simple, very effective, very graphical, and you can run that over any particular time period you choose. Job analysis detail. This is a great report too. We're also going to be looking at a modified report to this that we've just launched. It's called the Interactive Job Analysis Detailed Report. It's live and it's up there, and I'm going to show you how it works if you've not already looked at it. But this particular report shows you the job numbers here on the left. It shows you the date in which the job was created, and it gives you a breakdown of each component of the system that was mixed, including some financials at the end. Now the financials will show you the target cost, in other words what they chose, what they opted to mix, what they actually mixed, and the difference. The difference is the wasted part expressed in a cost and as a percentage, and that really is a powerful report. Job compliancy, this one shows the three components: primer, colour, clear coat by a particular manufacturer and a body shop. It shows you, using a traffic light system, is the body shop using the primer and the clear coat in accordance with the base coat. And as you will know, in a lot of cases they only use the base coat, and they'll probably opt for a different clear coat or primer for whatever reason. And this report does show you that information, provided the compliant products are set up correctly. Job cost summary, this is the one I was referring to just now. For a group body shop, you can see here this is a group of 3 body shops, and we're looking over here at the far right. You can see the job cost. This is the average job cost on the jobs that have been done across the entire group. And as you can see here, £68.59, £77.12, £74 and 8 pence. And of course you equate that to dollars and cents, but you get the point. You're able to very quickly make an analysis of which shops are more effective, more efficient than not. And the body shop managers can identify where the problems are. They would simply then go to the report that I'm going to show you, which is the interactive report, where you can break these down. Compliance summary, again, this one is looking at the total numbers of jobs going into a network of a specific vehicle manufacturer, and you can see a percentage related to how much they use of the right products in that particular OEM brand. Narrabeen, obviously Pittwater and Garden Street, you can see we looked at those two, and well, this particular one is the average mixer volume. You can see that it was quite high, but again, the point is it's easy to spot the trends. And the same with this one. You're able to see this report, which is showing the job detail report. It's showing you where the overpours and the aborted mixes were. Manufacturer analysis. This one again, it gives you a breakdown of all the vehicle manufacturers at a specific body shop and tells you what they're doing by manufacturer and the number of jobs going through, and some average costings at the end here as well. The great thing, of course, is with the toolbar is you can run off a PDF report of these in colour, save them to your computer, and simply email them to the client. So this is a site status report. You have access to this. Your body shop customers do not. It shows you that when they were last connected to the system and when they last carried out a mix using Glasurit. So that's it. I'm going to now pause this for just a moment, and we're going to come back and we're going to look at KPI Online, and we're going to take a look at this new report, which is called the Interactive Job Analysis Report. Okay, and welcome back. We're now going to look at the latest report in KPI Online. It is called the Interactive Job Detail Report, and we're going to take a drill down as to how it works. Before we do that though, let me just give you a quick overview of this new style dashboard. Some of you, I'm hoping all of you, have seen this. It is slightly laid out in a different way, but it's in a way that kind of makes more sense intuitively when you look for the reports. So starting to the right, we've got some contact details over here, the messaging system if there's any messages going out. The dashboard will be a live dashboard, but that's not ready yet. The administrative section, this is where you can look at that site status report and see which particular sites are connected to the system and which ones are not, and more importantly which ones are mixing paint and so on. So that's the site status report. You'll be familiar with that one. Okay, so then we've got the 3 sections for reports. We've got benchmark reports, which are specifically aimed at the OEM approvals, and then we've got performance reports, where we're looking at the mixer analysis, job compliance, and some of the graphical analysis of individual painters. where they compare themselves across the board on primer, base coat and clear coat. And finally, job reports. These are the job costing reports. Some of them are summary reports and some of them are analysis detail. Okay, the one we're going to look for is this one here, at the top, the interactive mix analysis. You'll notice when you hover over them, they go live yellow, and what you should be doing, of course, is selecting that one and then just simply clicking on it. By the way, just a quick word on browsers. I'm using Chrome, Google Chrome. Firefox works fine, and Internet Explorer, that's something that's a tricky one, because Internet Explorer version 11 does have some bugs in it, not just with KPI Online but with many other products as well. So I would advise you to use a downgraded version of Internet Explorer like 10 or below, or indeed opt for Google Chrome or Firefox, and I believe Safari is fine as well. Okay, so the interactive mix analysis, and I must apologise, my broadband is quite slow here. We're going to choose a quick date of last month, and then I'm going to select a site. Okay, and I'm just going to put in GLA here and search for that particular body shop, which will be a very large body shop called Glasgow Audi, and then we'll run report. Okay, so here's the report, and as you can see, we've got the job numbers listed down here on the left, and then the date, and we can then see the complete system, the mixes, the volume, primer, base coat, clear, and then we've got the financials at the end. We've got the target pour cost, the actual poured, and then we've got the aborted quantities, and then the excess column. Now the excess column obviously will either be the aborted amount or the difference between the target and the poured. It can be under or over pour, and then expressed as a percentage down here on the right, as you can see in this column here. Okay, so that's the report, and I'm going to now break it out for you. You've got some little plus symbols here which do open up, and when you click on the plus symbol, you start to see the power of this particular report and its importance and how valuable it will be, not only to yourself but to body shops as well. As you can see, it's opened up this particular job, and as you will know by looking across here, you can see that this only had a clear coat mix over here, 0.06, and in fact, looking at these figures, there was a target pour cost and an aborted amount. So for some reason that was completely aborted. You can see here the initials of the painter. When I opened up the plus symbol, you'll know that Mr. TW, he underpour aborted, and when we go into it we can go and find out what went on. So we can really drill down specifically into the detail now. And there we have it. There was the 923115 clear coat poured out, but absolutely nothing else was added to that product. So that's a strange one, but that can be investigated. That's the key point. So I'm going to show you how this can really kind of work for you now. Once again, I do apologise for the slowness of the broadband here. Okay, I'm going to arrange these by date order now. I'm going to give you a demonstration of just two more. So we click over here on the top where we have the date column, and it will shuffle all those jobs into a date order. And if we go down to the 13th, and we're looking for 131446, this one here, you can see if we go across, it's got an excess pour of 3.2%. Now that appeared to show an overpour in the three areas, the primer, the base coat and the clear coat. There was a target cost of 314.59 pence. We got an actual cost of 324.72, which gave an excess of £10.13, and that expressed as a percentage was 3.2%. Not a massive error, but worth taking a look at, and we can probably, assume that if there was an overpour in all three areas, then it might be a training issue. So we can go into just see what went on in that particular one by opening up the plus symbol, and we can see who the painter was that did this particular job. And in some cases you'll find that there will be different initials, as there are here. We've got Mr. WK, Mr. DS and Mr. TW. So there wasn't one particular culprit in this instance, they all had a little go at it. And if we wanted to break it down further, you could quickly look at that and see that the same colour code, I'm looking over here at the right hand side, you'll see that the colour code is highlighted, and several people have had a go at this particular colour code, and I would suggest it was probably a poor colour match. So there might be some issue there that you can get involved in from a technical viewpoint, and that will perhaps explain why there was some overpours. Okay, same with the primer and the clear coat. There was an overpour recalculation, pretty minimal. In fact, this was an underpour, this one here on the primer. Okay, you can see a difference on the underpour element of it. If you want to go in, just simply click on the plus symbol again, and it will break out the formula for you and show you exactly where the underpour or overpour was, and indeed if there was a complete abort of the mix. So some great information. I'm sure you begin to appreciate a number of advantages this gives you. One that stands out, of course, is if you get a complaint, a product complaint, you can immediately just ask for the job number, go in and take a look at it online before you even visit the body shop, and you'll have a pretty good idea of what went on or didn't, as the case may be. That's just one example. I'm sure you can think of many others. But the important thing is you didn't even have to visit the body shop, go in cold, deal with some facts that just came from the body shop. You can take a real in-depth look at what went on. But I must stress, going back to the prerequisites that we talked about in the slides earlier, you must get these guys mixing over the scale at all times, throw away the mixing sticks, and then you're in a really strong position to make this kind of data come through 100% of the time. I hope that report proves very useful to you. Just one other one, I did make a note of one here. It's a way out figure, but worth drilling into all the same. It happened on the 16th, so we'll just quickly go to the 16th. You can see this one here. A massive overpour here. I don't know what happened, so let's go into it, take a look. And if nothing else, you can just tick it off. And when you're carrying out maybe a business review with the body shop, you can highlight things like this. It's things that they may not even know about, and that's the important thing too. So this report really does come into its own. So as you can see here, this one, huge overpour on this base coat here. Let me go ahead and have a look. And there we have it, big overpour on M4, and pretty much that was it. There wasn't anything else, but I did notice they did the job again. So we can have a look again further down here, this one. And it's the same colour code as you can see over here, the same variant information, and this time there was it was fully mixed, but there was some underpouring going on. So there you have it. That's the interactive mix analysis report. So for today, that's the end of this particular webinar, this particular video tutorial. Next time we're going to be looking at some new reports that we're currently in development with and testing. I do hope this works for you. If you have any questions at all, please do get in contact with us. My name is Brett Matthews, and you can contact me at brett@pcbusiness-call.com, or indeed you can log a ticket over here. If you go to the KPI Online element over here, contact us. Simply click on the website, brings up this page, and you can submit a ticket here, and it captures all of the details. And if you want, you can even take a snapshot of the screen you've got a problem with, save the file to your computer, and then upload it with Choose File. I recommend using a product called Jing, Jing. It's a great little tool that allows you to do a screen grab, save it as a file to your computer, and then just simply send it over to us and we can take a look at the problem for you. Many thanks, and I hope that was all worthwhile to you. Thank you.